While fighting back tears,
I lost 2 sons already recently.
Mervyn Jennings, father of Naziah Harris, is pleading for his daughter's return home.
It's a lot, but she was like a beautiful child, just a beautiful child. I go out every day. We pass out the flyers. I read the comments. I look at this. I look at that. I'm out. I'm talking about me and the commissioner.
The 13-year-old has been missing since January 9th. Police say she was last seen getting off her school bus at Cornwall and 3 Mile Drive, just a few minutes walk from her home on the city's east side. Police Commissioner Tamara Smith, a close friend of the family.
It's not normal for a 13-year-old to be missing over 2 months. There is no sign of life. There is no social media communication. There are no friends who've heard from her, no family. It's not normal.
For Naziah, January 9th was just another typical day. She got up early and got ready for school. When she arrived at school, she waved to the camera, not realizing that it would be her last time playing with her friends and engaging in other ordinary adolescent activities. The 13-year-old would never again see her family. One man who was supposed to guard her would turn out to be the one responsible for her disappearance, as the police and family began their investigation. Let's begin this painful story and find out what happened to a 13-year-old who vanished from view. Before we begin this video, we would like to express our deepest sympathies to the family and friends who were severely affected by this horrible crime. We would also like to send condolences to Naziah's family and friends. "13-year-old Naziah Harris attended the J.E. Clark Preparatory Academy in the 7th grade. Despite not being with her parents, she worked hard and performed well in school after moving in with her aunt when she was younger. Her aunt had stepped in to raise her. Although she gave the impression of being a typical 13-year-old with a typical life, this was regrettably not the case. It was her aunt's choice to date a man with a lengthy criminal history. About 13 of his children were with local teenage girls. Jarvis Butts, who assaulted a child, was just released from prison. Her aunt didn't give a damn about who he was, what he could do, or the risks he might be posing to her family. However, Naziah Harris would suffer a terrible fate on January 9th. The 13-year-old was observed getting off a school bus near Cornwall Street and 3 Mile Drive on Detroit's east side. Her family never saw or heard from her again. Surveillance on the bus captured Harris, and it was the last image they saw of her. She got off the bus at the bus stop, and that was the last time anyone saw her. Her aunt knew she wasn't at home, but she didn't report her missing because she returned home at different times. But when she didn't return home the next day, she became anxious. Her aunt tried calling her and sending her messages, but she couldn't get through. Knowing something wasn't right, she called her grandmother. After her grandmother reported her missing in Detroit, an inquiry turned up some disgusting filth. It was discovered by the police that she had been sexually assaulted by a sadistic 41-year-old man she was texting who had been asking her for nude pictures. He had a history of sexually assaulting young girls and would date ladies only to prey on their daughters. He allegedly had a 4-year-old victim. And he was a pedophile and professional groomer. When the police learned that he was married to Naziah's aunt during the course of the investigation, they knew they had a suspect, a man named Jarvis Butts. Prosecutors claimed that Naziah met Butts, who had children with Naziah's aunt, at Butts' auto repair shop in Detroit on January 9th after school, based on texts. As reported by Worthy, a number of Butts' acquaintances witnessed them together. According to the prosecutor's office, Butts, his co-worker, and Naziah traveled to Ypsilanti in the co-worker's vehicle before heading back to the Detroit auto shop. Without Naziah, Butts checked into a motel at 9:30 p.m. on January 9th. Worthy claimed that Naziah, who was expecting his child at the time of her murder, was sexually assaulted, molested, and used by Butts. According to the prosecutor's office, Butts started sending Naziah sexually explicit texts in September 2022, and she reciprocated by sending him graphic pictures of herself. In September 2023, she texted Butts to let him know she hadn't had her period. According to the evidence, Butts was aware of her pregnancy in November 2023. His phone records show that he searches online about abortions, abortion pills, and drinking red antifreeze, a news release from the Office of the Wayne County Prosecutor stated. In addition, Butts faces 3 counts of second-degree criminal sexual conduct and first-degree criminal sexual conduct charges for the alleged sexual assault of a now 20-year-old girl from 2012 to 2014, as well as second-degree criminal sexual conduct charges related to the sexual assault of a now 13-year-old girl from 2015 to 2017. Butts also served time in prison for sexually assaulting a child in 2004, according to court documents.
But first at 5, facing justice, a man accused in 3 disturbing sexual assault cases involving minors, facing a judge today. Thank you for joining us this Friday at 5. I'm Glenda Lewis.
And I'm Simon Shaquette. Jarvis Butts is facing a long list of serious charges. We've been closely following one of the cases he's connected to for months.
Back in January, 13-year-old Naziah Harris never returned from school in Detroit. Then in March, a second teenager accused the man who suspected of assaulting and murdering Naziah of sexually assaulting her when she was 4 years old. Butts was first hit with charges in April.
Fast forward to September, and we saw Butts charged in the murder and sexual assault of Naziah while facing even more charges in a separate case that same month. Sadly, as of today, the body of the 13-year-old has not been found.
7 News Detroit reporter Darren Cunningham was in court today when Butts faced a judge.
The judge heard 3 separate cases today against Jarvis Butts, one of them involving the disappearance of Naziah Harris. Investigators say the other 2 cases involve victims Butts sexually assaulted when they were girls. Jarvis Butts walked into court for not 1, but 3 separate preliminary hearings Friday morning. In the first case, he's accused of having an inappropriate relationship with 13-year-old Naziah Harris. 41-year-old Butts was dating a relative of Naziah. Investigators say he murdered Naziah. Her body has never been found. Her loved ones in court Friday looking on. 22 witnesses are expected to testify. Only 1 witness took the stand in Naziah's case Friday. Cordell Wright says he was a friend and business partner of Butts. He says when Butts was locked up, Butts called him, asking him to remove his phone from his vehicle. It's unclear why. But the defense brought up the idea that Butts, who has 13 children, juggled a lot of women and that he didn't want one of the women to find out about the others.
Did you look for it in the vehicle?
Yeah, I looked for it.
Okay. And you were unsuccessful in finding it?
Yes.
Wright also says Butts referred to Naziah as his niece. In the other 2 cases, Judge Aaliyah Sabri ordered Butts to stand trial on first-degree criminal sexual conduct. We didn't record those alleged victims. One girl, who is currently 13 years old, said Butts molested her when she was just 4 years old. She says he was dating her mother at the time and claims he made her strip down and touched her inappropriately. A 20-year-old woman also took the stand and said the same thing happened to her when she was 8 years old and again when she was 10. Butts had just been released after serving nearly 10 years for sexually assaulting another child.
They were very brave. I commend both of them.
I spoke to Roxy, Naziah's cousin, who's proud of those who came forward after Naziah's case came to light.
Every single woman deserves justice. Every single girl deserves justice.
She's using her voice to be a voice for Naziah, hoping the domino effect will continue.
I just want to say, we know that there's more out there, and I hope that people viewed it, from the comforts of their home, and I hope that it sparks something in every woman and every girl that he has done this to come forward.
Butts' next court date is set for next week in the 2 sexual assault cases. The preliminary hearing for the Naziah Harris case is set to resume January 6th. In Detroit, Darren Cunningham, 7 News Detroit.
Although Naziah Harris has not been located, investigators have charged the man with murder since they are certain she was killed. The next day, the Detroit Public Schools Community District began looking into Naziah's disappearance. The Detroit Police Department was then tasked with handling the issue. With the help of volunteers and dogs, officers scouted the neighborhood where Naziah was last seen. They conducted a grid search and knocked on doors. According to the police, more searches will be conducted outside of Wayne County. Since then, over a dozen searches have been conducted in Clinton Township, Ann Arbor, and Detroit. Please call the police if you see or spot Naziah Harris so that her family gets closure. If you would like to stay updated with this type of content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the following video.